So, in the last video, I bought 3 copies of Damnation on the Xbox 360. Why? Because I love collecting 3 copies of the same game just in case. No, not really. So it was just a really good deal. I don't have Damnation, or rather I didn't have Damnation in the collection, so I could keep one of them, and then the other 2 were up for debate. Do I sell them? Do I trade them? Not sure. At the time that I bought them, they traded in for £3 each, which isn't great, but together that's probably about the same as what I paid for them. However, since buying them, they went up in price, and therefore the trade price went up to £5 each, meaning that I could trade them both in for a tenner, more than I paid, keep one, everyone's happy, except the guy I originally bought them off, I'm sure, but still. I took them into CEX, and they traded one in, no problems, but this one, they didn't want to take because it had one too many scratches, which is a bit laughable in a way. Foreshadowing. Also, in the last episode, I bought a copy of Wolfenstein on the 360 for £8, and fortunately it had a crack in the spindle, which I think was sold to me by the same anyway, but either I took it back. I didn't mention in the video like out loud that I took it back, although I did put it in text on the screen, but that's why I didn't alter figures, because I didn't want to have to alter them and then change them back again. So I took it back. I got an £8 refund, of course it was on credit, and then I ended up buying Lord of the Rings, I think. I'm pretty sure I showed you this at the end of the last video. If I didn't, spoiler alert, I bought Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2. I always forget the 2 because it's kind of hidden at the back. Anyway, it's an RTS. I like RTS. I was kind of into Lord of the Rings. I've seen them all. I enjoyed them. I'm not going to get into the TV show, although that does look good. It just isn't good. I don't know what it is. If you like it though, let me know in the comments why you think I should watch the second season. But with that being said, I now have 1 copy of Damnation left to trade in. Of course, the other one is in my collection. Still trades in for a £5. There aren't that many in the company compared to other games, and I probably will do a video soon actually on Xbox 360 games that are still cheap enough that you can pick up, that are reasonably good investments based on what other games are going up. Damnation is absolutely one of those games under a tenner that you should look to pick up sooner rather than later, because it's not a bad game. It still looks pretty fun, and like I said, there aren't that many that sort of knock about the place, and the eBay price does tend to be more than that of the CEX price. And that does indeed bring me to my very first visit of this video, to CEX. We go somewhere completely different soon, somewhere I don't think I've ever been actually, but I'm flicking through for games I know that I want. Damnation there actually is one of the ones I traded in. I knew there were 2, possibly 3 games in my CEX that had been traded in overnight that I wanted to pick up. This was the very first. Bully. I don't see it that often in my CEX store. Not that often at all, in fact. I can't remember the last time I saw it there, and as we're talking about games that are going to go up in price, Bully is one of those games that will continue to rise in price, whether we like it or not. And I do have a hankering to play that game again, so it may not be one of those, it may or may not be one of those that I need to pick up today. This is another one of those sort of dogfight games that I always look at for £4 that will go up again, that I haven't picked up yet, that I absolutely have to. But as I alluded to, yes, I did indeed pick up Bully for 18. I have seen this down at 15. I think once upon a time it was 12, but £18, in my opinion, is not a bad price to pay for this. It's in reasonably good condition, disc-wise anyway. I would say it's kind of half on par with that Damnation that they won't take, and yes, I do have a bee in my bonnet about it. It's not that big a deal. It's just ironic that they sell games that are in exactly the same condition, but then they won't take them off me. Anyway, I would say it's complete. I don't know if this came with any sort of map. I can't imagine it would do, because it's not actually that big a world. You can go into like the town, and then there's the school. There's not much else to it. It does come with a manual. I don't think this ever came with a map. If it did, let me know. As of filming, this is still £18 in CEX, so I'm pretty happy that I've picked this up now, because in the future this is absolutely going to be a game that goes up to like 30-40 quid. I can't see them ever making Bully 2, which is a little bit frustrating because everybody wants it. But of course there was huge controversy around this game. They had to change the name of this on the PlayStation 2 in the UK to Canis Canem Edit because of the word bully. And the world we live in right now, I honestly don't think they bring out a game called Bully, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a game I want to revisit very, very soon. Glad to tick it off, but £18 of the credit has now disappeared. That credit is dwindling. So while taking a break from CEX and adding games to the collection, I entered a Smith's Toys. I don't go here very often at all, even though there are a fair few dotted around. This has now replaced Game. for me personally. Yes, they don't trade things in, although it would be cool if they did, but this has a bigger selection of games than Game do, and if the rumours are true and they are going to bum off physical altogether, what the hell does bum off mean? Then it means that shops like this, Smith's Toys, which is not one that I enter in frequently by any stretch, but they are going to overtake Game, and in fact they already have, in my opinion, for picking up physical games. They don't put out the actual artwork on the shelves, if you are wondering why some of the artwork looks really dodgy up close, like this Sonic Mania. It's because they just use sort of reprinted covers, but then of course they will give you an actual cover. The new Turtles game down here is only £22. That's on offer right now. Would very much like to pick up another Turtles game. I do really want to play that South Park game as well. I'm focused on what I'm focused on right now, and I do have plans in mind for what consoles I want to collect and such, and I'm going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about this Nitro Deck controller for the Switch. Never heard of it before, but oh my days do I want this. This would make playing the Switch, in my opinion, feel so much more satisfying. It's essentially just a handheld dock. You just slide the tablet of the Switch into it. You don't use the Joy-Cons, which means you don't run the risk of stick drift or anything. And of course this isn't sponsored. I don't have one of these. They've not reached out to me. I just really liked it. It's been out for about a year now and I didn't know anything about it until I saw it on the shelf. I did a little Google search and I watched a review and it looks phenomenal. You have like back paddles. It's almost like Steam Deck-esque. And I know a lot of people, when they look at these type of things, they'll say, oh, I've got massive hands. But I do have really big hands, and it's slightly frustrating when it comes to things like the Switch because they wrap around too easily and I can't grip it properly. It's really awkward to hold. That's why I kind of like the idea of the Hori split pad, and I did buy one not that long ago actually in a boot sale, but I decided against keeping it, and now that I've seen this I actually really want to pick it up. 50 quid may seem a little bit steep, and they are actually more expensive on the website, and you can get sort of different variations of this in different colorways and things, but I do really like the look of it, and it will be something that I look to pick up in the future when I get back to Switch, and that will be discussed in the next video, I think. But for the time being, we're going to go back into Smith's Toys to have a little look at what other games they have. Now, they offer a wide array of platforms, including PlayStation 4, despite the fact that, of course, that is a generation behind at this point. So I was quite happy to see that they still support the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, which is something that Game probably don't even do that extensively anymore, which is quite crazy to think that a company or a shop called Game, which specialise or are meant to specialise in games, don't have as wide a selection as Smith's Toys, who specialise in toys. But a nice display of PlayStation 5 games here, with a lot of them on offer as well. I don't claim to ever know the prices of new games really. I don't ever buy new releases, which is also going to be a topic for another video that I'm going to do in the series as well. It's not one of these spin-off videos that I do about game acts in physical or anything. It's going to be part of the series because I had a bit of an epiphany the other day, and I'm going to make a massive change to what I do when it comes to collecting and playing video games specifically. And I will talk to you about that, like I mentioned in that video. That'll be a few days away from now. But as we finish our last bay of games in Smith's Toys, I did want to take a quick look at the consoles, but before I get there, I was just looking to see if any of these games compare to the price of that of CEX, because these are brand new, of course, and Motorfest down there for 20 quid seemed like a pretty good deal. You can get the console here for 460, which is a Series X, of course, and an additional controller, an official controller, and you get a month of Ultimate Game Pass for what is the same price as what Amazon sell this console for, so not bad at all. And of course they do that thing as well, which is like Xbox All Access, which is something that Game used to do that they've binned off now, which is essentially just like a phone contract-esque thing where you pay nothing up front and you get the console. Maybe you get, I don't know, Game Pass and an additional controller or something, but you pay for it monthly. I looked into it a long time ago when the consoles first came out, but I decided against it. I think you do end up paying considerably more from what it looks like to me anyway, although you do get that sort of Ultimate Game Pass that runs alongside it. But if you have that All Access, let me know in the comments whether you think it's worth it or not. I haven't done a complete deep dive, but for me personally, I don't think it's what I want to do. Do still want to get a Series X at some point, and I have been looking at a One X, which is something that I've wanted for the longest time. You may be asking yourself, why would you want both? I do have my reasons, and again, I'll talk about that in the next video. But for now anyway, that was the end of my Smiths visit. I didn't buy anything, of course, because they are all new releases. So what's left to do today? Well, I'm going to go back to my favourite shop. You've guessed it, we're going back to CEX. Not a long visit. I actually thought I had more footage of things than this, and I thought I had one more pickup. But for some reason I don't seem to have footage of it, and I don't seem to know what it is either. But I saw Naughty Bear, which is a game that has been hovering around that sort of £8 to £12. It sort of rebounds every now and again. It's up at the higher end at the moment at 12. Had the manual as well. It's not a particularly good game in my opinion. I don't know anything about this, so if you know, let me know. Remember Me on the 360 at 12 quid. Seemed to be, I wouldn't say it's not an expensive game by any stretch compared to what some of the 360 games are doing, but for it to be £12, and I don't really know what it is, yeah, a bit of a weird one. I normally keep my finger on the pulse with the majority of 360 games, and I like to think that I know the majority of them. Don't have Hawks 2, but I do have Hawks. It's on the cheaper end though, so it'll be a budget buy at some point. There was a Transformers game there, which is the Transformers movie game, which is not something that I'm actually looking to pick up anytime soon, although I did pick up a Transformers game. I already have Transformers Rise of the Darkspark, which is a game that I still haven't played, and I don't actually plan on playing anytime soon, although I will get to it. And on this trip, I picked up Transformers Dark of the Moon, which was £8, and a game that I don't plan on playing anytime soon, but I will eventually get to it. My reasoning behind picking up the Transformers games now is because this is the next Spider-Man series, in my opinion. There's already evidence of this if you go and look at some of the Transformers games on the 360. So Transformers the game is the one I picked up there. That's also £8, but then they start to go up, and they go up gradually until they fly. So Transformers Devastation is £12. You have Transformers Cybertron Edition, which is just the game, but like a special edition of it, I think, and that's 15 quid. And then the other two, so you have Fall of Cybertron, which is £35, and War for Cybertron. I'm glad they named them so differently that no one's going to get confused. That is 32. So both of those, Fall of Cybertron and War for Cybertron, those are the ones sort of leading the charge at the moment, and they will continue to go up. They are going to do what Web of Shadows have done, and the other Spider-Man games as well, because there's like 2 or 3 there that are sort of ahead of everything else, but everything else is starting to catch up a little bit now, and that is what I think Transformers are going to do. Revenge of the Fallen, incidentally, is the cheapest Transformers game right now at £5, but it's actually a game that I don't see very often in CEX for some reason. Maybe it's just my bad luck, or I just keep missing it. But if you wanted any advice from me from this video, well, take this. Transformers games, get on them if you plan on collecting them. I wouldn't say just pick them up for the sake of an investment, because I may be wrong, but if you do want to buy them and add them to your collection at some point, sooner rather than later is definitely my advice, even when it comes to those 2 more expensive games, because we've seen what's happened with Spider-Man, and I honestly do think it's going to happen here again. And that brings me to the quote-unquote controversy of today's video. This is my final pickup, but it's not without its problems. This is Grand Theft Auto Episodes from Liberty City. I love Grand Theft Auto, as I'm sure the majority of you watching do. I'm sure some of you are cool, hip and trendy and think that it's a bit overhyped. But I have never played this, despite the fact that I love Grand Theft Auto. I played the 4th one to death. Roman got on my nerves at some point and I had to turn it off, and I don't think I've been back to it since, although I would like to play it again. And of course 5, we all love 5. We've played it to death at this point, but I've never played the majority actually of the spin-offs. So this was only £6. Does come complete with manual and the map, although the map has definitely seen better days, but it's still there and present and correct. The one problem that I have with it though, yeah, you've guessed it, the condition of the disc. It is absolutely appalling. It's not that big a deal in the sense of I have the receipt, it's within the warranty, I can take it back, have it cleaned, swap it for another one because they do have another one in stock in my CEX, or I can just shut up and keep it if it plays. I haven't actually tested it. But the thing that's really sort of got my goat, if you will, is that the saying? I don't know, is the fact that they wouldn't take this damnation because of the disc condition. And it was the exact same member of staff who sold me this game, which is in 3 times as worse condition as my damnation is. Is it that big a deal? As I mentioned, no, not really. I have the receipt, it's within warranty. I can just take it back and say, hey, can you just clean this for me, please? And that's exactly what I'm going to do this weekend. But it is just a little bit annoying that they won't take a game that is in far better condition than one that they sold me. It's more just a frustrating situation than anything else. But either way, I will get to add this to the collection. We get The Lost and Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony. There is another one which I always get confused, and that is significantly more expensive. That is Grand Theft Auto 4 Episodes from Liberty City. So what does that entail? Because to me personally, from what I can tell here, just looking at the front cover, it includes GTA 4 and the 2 DLCs. You may get more than that, but that's all I can really tell. It does come on 2 discs. So yeah, I can read it here. So it does say, includes Grand Theft Auto 4 and the episodes of The Lost and Damned and Ballad of Gay Tony. So I don't need to collect that. I know completionists will want it, but I don't see the point. I have GTA 4 and I have the episodes from Liberty City. I don't need the double pack, if you will. It's £22, which is a bit stupid because you can buy both of those, GTA 4 and this, combined cheaper. But if you want it in one, I guess it's £22. I don't know. I'm not going to buy that. I don't need that from what I can tell. If there's anything in there that doesn't say on the cover and you think I do need it, let me know in the comments. GTA wise now though, realistically, I need to get GTA 5. I think I don't know, do I want it? Do I really need it? I mean, if I'm going to get it on a next gen platform, which is going to play better, there's more content in it, etc. Load times are significantly lower. Am I ever going to play GTA 5 on the 360? Probably not. Do I need it for display purposes? Possibly. So we'll put a pin in that for just a second. The only other GTA game that I need that is on the platform is San Andreas, and I do really want that. The issue with that is that it's currently £25, and I think they're all classics. I don't think they released one that wasn't a classics. I really wish it had some sort of reversible cover or something, but it's going to look ugly on the shelf. First world problems, but I do need that and I will pick it up. It's maybe a little bit boring today, and I did actually think I had something else, but I do have some credit left, not a lot. And of course in the next episode it's more of a talky sit down chat, because I've decided what I want to do in life and I'm going to tell you what that is, and we're going to try and execute it over the next couple of weeks. But for today we're adding 3 games to the collection, although that does need to go back to be cleaned. And of course I do still have 1 Damnation left to take into trade. Hopefully the trade price can stay where it is, or maybe go up again. That would be nice. But Bully, I wouldn't say it's a big hitter necessarily, but it is one of the ones that's kind of on my list. The list is in my head right now. I've said for ages I want to make a list and do a video showing the games I want to tick off. It won't necessarily just be 360 games. I still haven't got round to doing it, and hopefully I will do soon. Let me know if you've picked up any games for your collection over the past week. Look forward to that chatty video if you're interested, of course, and until the next time, goodbye.